the Season 18 perk overhaul is out, and with it, we got some spicy new additions to Genji. Specifically, Swift Cuts, which is the new changed perk over acrobatics, and the small change to blade twisting, which we'll get into in a second. Dragon Search and Meditation are both solid options that we had before and are left unchanged. But let's actually talk about Swift Cuts, because this perk is insane, not just on paper but in practice. Quick Melee reduces the cooldown of Swift Strike by 3 seconds. That is ridiculous. That is basically a free condition because you just quick melee so much on Genji, especially to get more burst on your engagements and stuff like that. And making dash go from an 8-second cooldown to a 5-second cooldown is ridiculous, because between 1, you dashing through and forcing people to turn around and look at you, 2, hiding behind cover for a second, deflect for 2 seconds, hide a little more, juke, you gain enough time during that to make the 3 seconds essentially make it so you can run down mid, dash, and you have a guaranteed out most of the time. It's insane. Beforehand, you would have to think much more about the way that you engage with pathing, flanking, peeking at the right moments, maybe even not using dash to engage, but just coming from a flank and peeking at the right time so that you can save your dash to get out. With Swift Cuts, you can honestly just dash aggressively so often because the cooldown will be negligible. You will just be able to get out with another dash from that engagement even if you didn't get a kill. So yeah, this perk is ridiculous, and if you compare it to Dragon's Thirst, which is a very good perk, buffing ultimates is, while low uptime because ultimates are not often available, is very high value because ultimates are very big game changers, so they allow you to win crucial fights. But the thing is, because they provide value so infrequently, they need to be extraordinarily strong to be able to compare something that is active all the time, like Swift Cuts. Acrobatics before was active all the time, but it didn't provide any real benefit, so you always pick Dragon's Thirst. But Swift Cuts is so strong that you just pick this every single time. I literally wouldn't be surprised if you saw a 0% pick rate on Dragon's Thirst from now on. Swift Cuts is just that good, and yeah, it's just that frequent. I think that they need to nerf Swift Cuts. 3 seconds sounds like too much. This was my first impression, and the more that I think about it, the more that I think that, wow, they need to nerf this from 3 seconds like 2 seconds, and even then 2 seconds is very good. So I don't think it will take very long for us in practice with this perk to notice just how strong this is. And yeah, I would trust my instincts on this, and also how much I've been thinking about it. So I've been thinking about it for like the past hour and a half. I would trust my thought process because I have a good track record with these things. I correctly predicted which perks were good for Genji on Season 15, and did so also with other characters, although I didn't make videos on them. But yeah, like I am a high level player myself, I am a Genji coach, so I would trust my opinion, or at least I would say that I have a better track record than most when it comes for this. And yeah, I think that this perk is ridiculous and you should pick it every single time. And as far as the majors go, blade twisting got an interesting change, as in the condition changed. So the extra damage now triggers when the target is under half health, which makes it much better than usual, because now it's not a buff when you least need it, which is when you are already snowballing from a kill. It now helps you get that first kill potentially, and that extra 25 damage on low HP targets pushes him base burst, which is 90 from dash melee, to now 115, which, to be fair, is not that meaningful because it's basically only one shuriken, and you should be able to hit 2 shurikens or 1 headshot to get finishes on people that are half HP, right? Squishes, 250 HP characters. But this might be sneakily a little bit better than we think. It just depends on how often you actually end up in situations where you can dash in and finish someone that's low HP, or you flank around and you're trying to dash out, and your dash out is happening when someone is low already, so that could help you get the burst required to finish them or something. I don't think that this perk is better than meditation. Not only is meditation more consistent, but the stats that it gives are more comparatively than the 25 extra damage. You're comparing 70 healing versus 25 damage. So both in terms of consistency and in terms of power, meditation just beats blade twisting. But at the very least, blade twisting now actually has some interesting niches, and it is much more usable in general. One thing that I can think about is maybe with Mercy or with Juno, targets that can be hard to hit in the air, but you can at least guarantee some of the bigger AoEs, bigger to hit damage instances, such as dash, such as melee. And now that 115 guaranteed damage that I talked about actually just straight up finishes them off because they're 225. I believe both of them are. Maybe I'm wrong and Juno is 250, but yeah. I could see blade twisting having some usability now, whereas before it was just pretty much unusable, and people that picked it were just silly. They weren't really thinking. But yeah, I just predict swift cuts to be 100%, and then meditation and blade twisting. You should be picking this like 90% of the time or more, probably more than this. And then the other one should be picked. Let's just give this prediction here. Blade twisting should be picked less than 10% of the time, if at all. I just think that meditation is still very good. But yeah, if there is 2 things that I would change about these perks, I would nerf swift cuts to actually be 2 seconds. 3 seconds just seems too broken. And you really don't want Genji to be all that broken, even if it's fun, because then Genji gets perma-banned, and not just that, but then the devs might nerf his base kit, and then we stop having fun. We had that in the past repeatedly, so let's not do that. Let's instead nerf the broken perk. And also, I would change these perks to actually be, this would be the major, and this would be the minor. I would completely swap them around, essentially. Because the minor perks right now seems way stronger than the major perks. And it's funny because it's a little bit hard to gauge how much value meditation gives. It's not a flashy perk, it's just a solid perk that just essentially means that Genji now has 300 HP rather than 350. That's one good way of looking at the value that meditation provides. But still, I think that the perks should be swapped. And it should be swapped in pair. You don't want Genji players to be running around with both Swift Cuts and Dragon's Thirst, I don't think. Because I wouldn't be surprised if that was the standard pick. Although, honestly, having to pick between Dragon's Thirst and Meditation might be interesting. But that's up for the devs, honestly. That's beyond my space as a coach to be talking about this, I think. Maybe as someone that has some game design knowledge and can talk about some interesting ideas on opportunity cost. But frankly speaking, I don't think that is like the big thing to be worried about. I think that swapping these 2 rounds to be the major ones and nerfing swift cuts a bit should be the main things. But yeah, these are my opinions on the Genji perks. I do not look at the other ones, but just in a vacuum, swift cuts seems ridiculous. And so yeah, I don't think we I mean, we'll have to wait and see in terms of like specifically the major currently. But I trust my opinion a lot on this one. If I doubted my opinion a little bit on here, I would be transparent about it. But I'm fairly confident with my assessment of these perks after giving it a little bit over an hour of thoughts on them.